Hey friends, hey friends. This is Rose, Coach Rose AJ, coming to holla at you on the Carnivore Connection, where we share heartfelt and soulful conversations. Y'all, today in the studio, I have Malu with me. She's from the Philippines and she is here to share her incredible story. So, Malu, you just go ahead and take it away, my dear.
Thank you so much, Rose, for inviting me here. I'm so excited. I could hardly sleep. Like, it's how many days before Rose gets to interview me. Well, I would like to share my inspirational story to all. Um, I had COVID 2021, then after which the following year it was followed by breast cancer stage 2B. Was one Sunday afternoon. I was just watching Netflix. Then I said, "There's a lump on my breast." And my husband was beside me, said, "Are you sure? Can you check?" And I was worried because my best friend is was then battling cancer a few months earlier, stage 3B, because she's diabetic. So I began to worry, which is very normal for anyone who feels that lump. So I called my friend and asked her any advice. And she said, "Don't have the biopsy yet. Go for an ultrasound, mammogram, those stuff." So it was a Sunday, but I'm a deeply spiritual person. I went to the kitchen, had to, put my husband aside and I prayed. I prayed, and I remembered the book of Job, that, and I remember, if God can give everything, He can take everything, and whatever happens, praise be to God. And I was so thankful, and I said, I will never ask why. It's just, how will we go through this, Lord? I never had any regrets, questions, doubts. It was okay. Let's go headstrong and meet this one, because I know for everything there's a purpose, and at the end, I was happy this happened, no regrets. And the thing is, it changed me all throughout as a person and saw things from a different perspective. Because the process, the battle, is very important. One key thing I would like to tell people is that take care of your health, because when health becomes the problem, everything is on the side. And so it's the only thing you gotta focus on and say, no, success isn't that important. Money isn't that important. It makes life convenient. But when you have a health problem, everything is at a standstill. So, with that, after 3 days, I went down to one of the biggest hospitals in the Philippines, St. Luke's. I was referred by my friend to another oncologist, took the test, and I can't deny it because I had a test on a Wednesday. By Thursday, I had my email saying it's 95% malignant. There was no doubt about it. I was in my school, my teachers, two of my closest teachers, I read the email to them and they cried. They said, "We want to go home. We feel so down." I said, "No, no, it's me, not you. Don't worry about it." But I was more worried about my husband because he might, take it, not take it so well. So I called my friend and I said, "Can we schedule a meet with my husband so that we can explain to him what this entails from his part?" I was more worried for him to worry for me than myself. So I set a schedule right there and then that afternoon. My friend and my husband and we sat together and she explained, "Malu's going through this the same way I did, and she needs a lot of support from you, encouragement from you." And he understood. So that was Thursday. Friday, the surgeon was already calling my husband. She needs to be put on the table 6 days from now. And my husband was even more worried. The overthinker said, "Could it be tomorrow? Because it might be too late." The surgeon said, "No, it can wait, maybe." So on September 7, I was at the hospital. 8, I had my operation. That night, I was praying. My husband was asking me, "Are you anxious? Are you worried?" Well, I really had guts of steel. I said, "No, I have given that control to God. Everything is in His hands." My friends were asking me, "Were you worried what if you die?" Well, of course, that's one of the probabilities. That's really a probability. But when I was living, I'm close to God. if I die, I'll get closer to him. In any way, I don't see any losing on that part. I'm still a winner. Well, people I leave behind will just be sad. That's all I said. But I wasn't worried about the surgery because I understood something had to be cut, something had to heal, follow the doctor's orders, and that's it. So I didn't fall into any of those sulking, feeling sad, depressed. Actually, it was my boss who called me and cried. She said, Malu, what happened? And she was crying, why you? I was thinking, who else? Who else? But this is it. So I'll just face it. This is my card. I'll play my card well. So I had surgery, and you wouldn't believe it because it's just less than 7 days. I had to go back to the hospital, debrided, because the wound was already healing that fast. The mindset is should be tough enough for you to know that I'm gonna heal, I'm gonna be positive. I was reading on things like what could help me heal faster. At that time, I wasn't yet a full carnivore, but I came across something like pineapples. The enzymes would help you not have those hematoma or those bruises, and it did. There was no bruise on my scars. And then later, my oncologist told me, you know what, you're still overweight. And I agreed because, well, I took a ton of soft drinks before. 1.5 of a soft drink liter, I could easily down that in one setting. Really, I really loved soft drinks before. But I went to the gym every single day after work. So again, exercise, you cannot outrun it with a bad diet. You can't go dancing Zumba and then let's go to McDonald's after. Can't be. It can't be like that. Then you'll munch a lot of, carbs. So she said, you see, I'm gonna give you estrogen suppressors for your maintenance meds. But if you had fat cells that will trigger estrogen, recurrence could be possible. Well, I said, that is one thing I would not want to happen, recurrence. That part of it, I have control. She said, manage your carbs, but don't eat less because your body is still fighting. You need to recover. And my oncologist is a keto practitioner. So she's a keto practitioner. She said, okay, I will try. I will try. And so I did lessen carbs. Actually, it was during the carnivore thing happened when I was having my chemo. Then after the third day, things would not go well. I can't sleep. I can't even go to the bathroom. There were so many things that I didn't know my body couldn't handle. Actually, I was more anxious about chemo than the surgery because I don't know what the chemicals would do to my system. And to think the minimum requirement would be 6 cycles for cancer. But I really dared and said, no, I want it all into 4. Of course, that's crazy. My oncologist said, why would you want to have 4 cycles? I said, October, November, December, 2 in December, with a difference of only 2 weeks. She said, why? Because I don't want to go to work on January 2023, still having chemo, and I really would like to go back to my school. She said, let's see first for the first session. The first session, it was really difficult because I didn't know what to expect. Then I had a very low red blood cell count, low white blood cell count, but I was given a medication for that and a lot of steroids. But the red blood cell count would mean less oxygen in the body and you get tired so easily, weak. So at first she thought, why not take iron supplements? But it didn't do any good at all. So I decided to break the rule and said, no, I will eat meat. She said, try. So on the fourth day of my chemo, I ordered steak, a lot of it, ate it. And after a week, things went well. And she said, it works for you. Well, I guess because it's real food. There's no bioavailability thing. It's just real food. It's beef. And even when I was a child, I would remember really loving to eat meat. But then again, growing up with the standard food pyramid, like don't eat meat, don't eat fat, and all those stuff. and see where that got us all into. A lot of hypertension, a lot of insulin resistance. So that's it. So I started eating meat even when I had my cancer. And some cancer patients I know now started asking me on Messenger, why are you eating meat? Is it safe? Blah, blah, blah. I said, this is what I do. I read a lot of articles, journals, PubMed, and there's even this fatty acid in the beef that might inhibit the growth of cancer cells, which is good. So you have to read up. You have to update yourself. Why? Why am I focusing on this? Because my life's on the line. And I could not just depend on big pharma to make me take all the medicines. Of course, I'll follow, but I also need to help myself. To educate yourself, to think, well, what would I do to make this possible? So I ate meat. My husband was very supportive, said, okay, if it makes you feel better. On the fifth day, I was moving around. And then the second chemo session, that's the time when I lost my hair, went bald. And my husband said, do you feel any insecurities about losing your hair or feeling bad? Because, you had great hair. And then he was so supportive. He even said, I'll go to the barber shop with you or what, and I have my hair cut too, same like yours. I said, no need to do that. My femininity isn't diminished just because I lost my hair. I'm still a woman. So it's okay. So when my hair was cut and I was bald, you know, I was so excited because now I could wear different wigs and turbans and it became a fashion thing for me. So you see, bad things can happen, but you can turn them to be good for you, sister. And I had that very sunny side of personality, posting every day on Facebook. And people would say, does she really have cancer? She's so all up and about. And I say, what would happen if I go to a dark room and sulk there all day and thinking this would be the end? I have to fight for it. The reason for fighting are my children, my husband, and my two grandchildren now. So I'll fight all I can. I won't go down this easy, if ever. So that's what I did. So I pushed for it. And I encourage other women going through it because many are now approaching me through a friend like, can you help my cousin? She's got a lump and she doesn't know what to do. Some have lost the battle because it's not early detection. I feel so sad because they just, put it aside, say, I'll get over this and everything. But it didn't help them just drinking whatever tonic or supplement. They didn't go the right way, and some have lost the battle. But some that I have encouraged are now recovering well and thanking me. And of course, I'm very happy. I said, that's a good thing that I've done in my life, that legacy to encourage people to get healthy, to go through this road. So when I went back to work, the next thing was radiotherapy for 30 days. I was afraid to go back to the hospital because it was already too overwhelming and like I don't want to see any hospital first, but I did delay my radiation for 60 days. Stubborn me. Finally, when I got into it, for the first 30 days, on the first day I was scheduled, my mom died. And it was like, okay, so there's another curveball. So my mom died, what would I do? But I couldn't stop the radiation. So I made arrangements over the phone. My husband took care of it. So everything was settled, but I had to go through also through my radiation. I finished my 30 days radiation. I live alone in Manila because my place is like a 3-hour bus ride going to Manila. So it's quite far. So I live in a small hotel, and then every day after my radiation session, which is just 10 minutes of boring time, I'm telling it's boring. You'll be lying there on a cold table for 10 minutes and wait for the laser to work. So I'm playing my music, and then after which I made an itinerary of what I'll do. Many would say, no, Malu, you do not have the energy. I've been through that. I was just sleeping whole day. Fatigue sets in. On the contrary, after my radiation, I'll say, oh, I'll get on a ferry boat and go to this place and maybe go around Chinatown. Or, there's a free museum that I could go through and expose myself to art, to culture. So that's the thing. You may not be able to change the circumstance, but you can manage and have choices to also adapt to it. So I said, okay, I'll go to the museums. I did some painting, a lot of painting. I did on my hotel room because it would be boring to just stay there the whole day. So I went around. And here I am going to the radiation room with all the patients with their helpers, nurses in wheelchair, and I'll be strutting there as if nothing happened, bring my paper, say, okay, what time is my schedule again? And I really look not so normal in that room. Like, is she really sick? Even my batchmates in high school even doubted it. I had cancer because I was always all over the place, walking around. So my radiation oncologist told me how I wish all patients had the same mindset as you are. I said, I couldn't wait for this radiation to end. Can I now swim after this? He said, no, your burns had to heal first, then after which you can continue your physical activities. Just tell yourself when you're tired, you stop. So I said, awesome. So there's life after this. So which I did. Then I went back to work. People, even my I have a lovely boss, Ma'am Lilia. She's very nice and kind to me. She always tells me, take it easy, don't stress yourself, blah blah blah. And I said, don't worry, ma'am, I'll try to manage my stress. So all these things happening, I'm very thankful because I have a very supportive husband, my adult children, my church members, my pastor, they all pray for me all the time. And of course, my relationship with God, and I always pray because every day I don't have any reason to be sulking and regretting things for this gift of life God has given me. I'm a very grateful person, and there's joy. There is so much joy because what else should I complain for? God has given me so much in my life. Maybe I don't have a BMW. I really don't care. I even ride a public bus going to work. But hey, I'm a very happy person and nobody can rain on my parade. Nobody. I'll just be as happy as I am. So, on my birthday last year, my husband said, what would you want to do? It's your birthday. Being the introvert that I am, I just want to stay at home and wear that shark blanket and pretend I'm a shark. And he said, really, girl? Yeah, why can't I be myself? So I was there all day and at home doing some painting. I do heavy gardening. My oncologist told me, you need to do some heavy lifting for increased bone density. I think September, my radiation ended on May or almost May. September, I became a carnivore. 2023. September. It wasn't a hard shift because I really didn't like rice in the first place. I don't like cakes. I don't like chocolates. No, I'm not that pastry girl. No, I'm not that type. So when I went to carnivore, I found this doctor who heads a keto group and finally had a carnivore, which is really restrictive. And eventually she made me moderator of that Pinoy carnivore healing lifestyle. And we started with 2,000 members. Now we're 25,000 strong in the Philippines. Really? So all of them are waiting for this too, this interview too, because they're, wow, you're being interviewed and sharing your story. So I'm also guided by doctors who are not for big pharma. They will tell you, I just don't ask what your disease is. I need to know your lifestyle. What have you eaten? What did you do? Do you sleep well? And all that stuff. It's just like writing the prescription, giving and drink this, and that's all. It can't be that way. So when I guested in a YouTube channel with Dave Mack, somebody from our church sent me a note and she said, Sister, I'm morbidly obese. I can't even go to church or get out of the house anymore. Now, if I'm going to shift to carnivore, is it possible? I said everything happens on a slow phase, transition. You need to adjust. Your gut will be adjusting being a carnivore. Mine didn't have time to adjust. It was like, okay, I'm carnivore tomorrow. I'm fine. I was so happy with all the pork chops and every fatty thing that I really wanted to have after all. I'm so happy with that. And I told her, if you're not gonna shift, when you arrive at this problem using that same journey, you wouldn't heal going back that way. You need a mindset. You need to change. And she said, excuse me, she said, I think so. Well, I could guide you slowly, and you should see your doctor. And maybe, I'm not sure if you're taking any medications. We have to be very careful with this, but it's possible. But don't expect a miracle. It's like weightlifting, right? I used to lift heavy weights. It doesn't happen overnight. But I see some guys in the gym after lifting 10 pounds, they would go in the mirror and say, and look at it, if a muscle has grown. And I was wondering, what the hell? Why are they doing that? So, anyway, and people would go to the gym for hours when you can do, well, you can do all at the same time, make it a cardio at the same time, a superset. So you have cardio and then you lift heavy. You know, at the time that I went to the gym, many Filipinas were not yet used to lifting heavy weights. And they would say, hey, you're lifting heavy weights. Your cervix would suffer. And what? You mean you get displaced from lifting? I know. Now you're laughing. Now you're laughing. Yes, many Filipinas had this misconception that, no, your cervix will go down. Your uterus would go down. I said, gravity? Well, I'm witty, and gravity does that, I think, but not lifting. You have to lift properly. So I did all the things that, well, deadlifts and everything else, the 100 leg press, but it was the good type of pain because that made you skinnier or leaner, stronger, you know, and you feel like comfortable walking even at night because I don't think anybody would like to rough handle you considering you can bench press that much, right? So now it's a second thought there. So I was thinking in this carnivore thing, I'd really like to go back to I did CrossFit before. I wanted to go back to boxing, but not the year after. So this year, 2024 December, I said to my former boxing coach, I want to try boxing. But I had to admit, I felt nervous because can do I still have the same intensity? What will happen? But I did it. You said just do it anyway. So I went there, brought my gloves, the form was there, the footsteps, the right steps was there. It was just not so well conditioned that I was having a hard time with my jump rope and my planking because I was still conditioning, but I made it through. But now, knowing that I'm a carnivore, I ate a lot of meat after the session the following day, and the pain was so minimal. Like, wow, it's a Thursday, then it's a Friday. I can do this again on a Saturday. So it's true. Recovery rate is very fast with all the protein that you got in your system and the fat as well. So my husband said, can you handle? So I said, yes. And maybe after conditioning myself, I joined my husband again because we used to be both competitive badminton players as a team. I used to compete in badminton, my husband and I. But when I grew bigger, it hurts my knees. So I had to stop. But now I can go back again, but I really love the boxing thing. I really love it. It's challenging. When you push yourself, that mindset that helped me through. Also, when I got sick, the mindset that you have to dig deeper. If when your mind says you can't do it, your body would follow. But when you say, okay, 10 more. I remember one time I was doing 100 push-ups and I was with my friend, a lawyer. That was for CrossFit, that was our, how do we say, warm up. 100 push-ups. We were on the 80th, and this lawyer said, Malu, can we cheat and say it's the 90? Hey, I'm a teacher. You're a lawyer, and you're telling us to cheat just for the 20 reps? No, let's do this slowly. according to our age, and we did it. I told him, you see, what it could have made me felt bad that I cheated on the last 20 reps of my push-up. It's not being the fastest. The thing is you do it. So now that I've scaled down, it's more on progress, not perfection. Just as my body could adjust. And why would I compete anyway with anyone else? I can only compete with myself. I was good last year. Now I'm getting better, maybe next year. So, and the more that I age, the more that I'm excited with all the possibilities I could do. I said, what are you going to do on retirement? I'll be retiring maybe 5 years from now. I'm 55. So 5 years from now, I'll be retired. I said, oh, you could never guess what's on my bucket list. From swimming like a mermaid to maybe pole dancing and all that stuff that I want to do. And he said, I guess you won't be home waiting for me. I don't think so. I'll be up and about everywhere and doing the things that I love to do most. And he said, well, you have a lot ahead of you. I said, yes. So the thing is, with the carnivore, it has opened many things for me. One, the recovery. I had an accident like last August 1. We were doing some feeding program for malnourished. We categorize here the underweight and stunted kids in the school. I'm handling elementary and high school. Roughly 2,000 students and 50 plus teachers. I lead them. Yeah, that's how big my school is. When I was doing the feeding, something was wrong with my shoes. I don't know. I went out of balance like a sprain, but I had to roll over, and everybody was like quiet when I rolled over 3 times, and they were trying to lift me. I said, no, that will insure me. Let me check first with my body if something hurts. You cannot just easily lift me. So then later on, they were able to lift me, but the end of the day, I had to be brought back to the emergency hospital. I can't walk anymore. It was a bad hamstring injury, very bad one. So that's where again being a carnivore played. So okay, then just take meat and rest. That's it, right? For an injury, a hamstring, or but that's not a new thing. Before weightlifting puts you into a lot of injury when you overestimate yourself. And I thought it was easy, and then you don't have a spotter and you get that injury, but you heal anyway. The body's mechanism is great. It heals on its own too. So I still went to see my orthopedist, and he said my orthopedic doctor is a carnivore. He's a carnivore. Yeah. He's so happy that I became a carnivore. He said, you lost a lot of weight. When my oncologist saw me maybe 8 or 6 months after being a carnivore, she didn't recognize me. She said, is it you, Malu? Yes. Before Rose, I was 2XL, that big. Then I became medium. I could wear my husband's pants. That big transformation. I'll send you pictures. So I was so happy I was able to wear a two-piece bikini with my grandchild at a time and see how good it feels to see yourself, what's hidden there. So my doctor said, what did you do? Let me see your laboratory. She was even, you know, they're all fine. At the minimal, no problem. Just a little 5 points over cholesterol. Is that a big deal? Knowing that my triglycerides, uric acid? No. And when I see you, it's enough. What did you do? I said, I ate meat. And she turned to her secretary, who's really also overweight. Sorry. She said, you should start eating meat. We should start eating meat. I said, you should. And she said, you had great hair. Your hair grew again. And skin. Well, courtesy of the collagen from all the beef that I've been eating so far, boiling them and grilling them. Well, you get them free. You don't need to buy these collagen supplements after all. You don't even know what it's made of. It could even be roadkill for all you know. So she said, okay. So this is what I got from being a carnivore. Good hair, good skin, and if people interact with me, they could even second guess I went through cancer at all. Plus the energy. We had an activity a few days ago in a seminar, and you're supposed to put a paper on your back, and people, would write things on your back about yourself, positive. And when I went around, look at the paper, the first one on the list was hyper energy. Yeah. My teachers would say, "Can you quit going around the school? Don't you ever get tired? You go to the third floor." I said, my house is on a hill. Really? And I walk up and down to get a ride. And that once, my cardiologist said, did a lot of help before your operation because your heart was strong. So, yeah, I saw a poem or something, a saying in Facebook that said, it's not the hill that's the problem. It's how you adjust to the hill that makes you strong. And that is true for me. So when I go to third floor, fourth floor, that would be easy for me to go up and down there, look for my teachers, do inspection, and people say, you have energy. Last year, around June, my husband had the sports fest, and he said, I can only tag you along if you join an event. Again, that was a test for me. I said, could I? And I dared join the amazing race. That would mean, running through the football field 3 times, swimming in mud, crawling and everything. And I did it. And there was this group mates who are like 35 years old women. They would really want to throw up because of the hard work. I said, we're so tired. I said, look at me. I'm a cancer survivor and I'm 50s. I could be your mom. And now you're going to throw up because you're so tired. I'm not even tired. So I said, yeah, the carnivore thing really worked for me because the proof is in the pudding. I'm here. This is how I look like. I've lost weight, changed my clothes, have so much energy. You said you had a full day, went to church. Not yet. I woke up at 5 a.m., did some gardening. That's what I do. And even if I'm tired from work, 2 hours, if I come home 6 p.m., I'll just go inside the house at 8:30 of 2.5 hours of gardening again, cleaning the garden, tending. I have a collection of philodendrons and anthuriums, no less than 400 species of plants. I really collect plants. So I take care of them, make their own soil mix. So you see, there's so much that we have choice where we can focus and divert and not sulk and feel bad at all, right? We have many options. It's just whatever you want to do. You can dance, you can sing, you can garden, whatever it is that you just have to keep it moving because movement is life. We cannot just sit there and say, I wish my health would go well, but you're sitting all the day watching Netflix for the whole day. Well, you can, but you have to go out. So I take a break also from technology. Now, I've seen that when I get home, I still browse my phone and look at social media. So what I did was buy some painting kits. So when I get home, I spend 1 hour also painting. So I paint, paint, paint. That frees me from technology, and that's it. But at the start of the day, I always pray. I have my prayer time to thank God for all the blessings that He has given in my life. Health is a wonderful blessing. If you lose it, no matter how wealthy you are, you'll be the richest man on the grave. And that's not a good idea, right? So, with that carnivore thing, I kept on reading, educating myself, asking some science teachers and good people, like, can you interpret this for me, doctor? What do you think about this? And say, you're so far out there. I don't even know what that aptogenesis you're saying or epigenetics. And I said, I really want to learn. And if we keep on learning, there is something we can do about ourselves. We need to listen. We have to open our mindset. The only challenge I meet with influencing people on carnivore is sticking to the same old food pyramid. But it says that oil and fat should be on the top. I challenge my friends. I see you eating veggies every day, and your medical result hasn't changed a bit. How come? How come you still have gout? How come you couldn't still walk? How come you couldn't still move fast? And all I could see you do is eating veggies and salads. And when you look at me, You would not believe what one I eat, what everybody doesn't want to eat. Okay, give me your excess steak. Give me your fat. Give me your beef. You're so afraid of the cholesterol. Give it all to me. And I said 20% of the brain is made up of cholesterol, and we need it for hormones too. So you cannot do away with cholesterol. What you should be watching out is your triglycerides. That's a precursor to many bad things that could happen to your body. So then later on, if you're insulin resistant, exogenous insulin can lead you to other heart attack, aneurysm. That's a lot of trouble there being a chemical component. So my orthopedist told me, it's a good thing you don't have any metabolic problem. When I had my injury, he said, you'll heal. I don't need to give you any painkillers or what. You'll heal because of your diet. However, for your friends who get into this, it will take 3 months if you're insulin resistant. And your tendon and ligaments will be destroyed by sugar. Of course, we know that's glycation. You look older, you feel more pains, frozen shoulders, and everything. Girl, you should move. Move, move, move. Lift. Women should not be afraid of lifting. It helps. But what was really something sort of miraculous was that at our age, it's hard to increase bone density. You cannot chug tons of milk to have. Despite the fact that I had my accident last August 1, I had my PET CT scan, I think somewhere in maybe November or October. In my hips, there was a significant increase of bone densities. Like, what? Women at this age are so afraid, to slip because your hips would really, a bad fall would mean something else. Yes, my bone density significantly increased. And it means a lot of things. It means the diet, the hard work of maybe climbing a hill, and lifting weights all come together in one and has helped me a lot. So it's really a journey, but an interesting one. And I keep posting on Facebook that this is a detour that God gave me, but this detour, like Joseph, help him to become what he is and how he helped other people also from his journey. So I'm still encouraging women. When somebody asks me, they would say, "Sorry, I have to bother you. You don't know me. I saw you on our Facebook." And I would answer them politely and say, "Yes, what is this that you need? This is so far. I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything medical, but I can encourage you, sister. I'll give you all the encouragement and push you need because we can go on with this fight." That's the thing. That mindset means a lot. That faith means a lot because when you have faith and a strong mindset, as God said, He gave us a strong mind. He gave us knowledge, understanding, wisdom, not a spirit of fear. So you go there and do your job, and you make sure He's always involved in it, and you will have a good place. So for me, this one is very, very inspiring because people saw a different me after cancer. Said, "Malu, we never thought that you could be go that deep." I said, "I am." And always attribute it to the one above who helped me, who gave me courage. If it's just me, I can't do it. You need to have a strong faith. Faith is inversely related to fear. The more fearful you are, the less faith you have. But when you have a strong faith, strong roots, no storm can shake you, dear. No storm at all, right? So I'm here, I'm existing for my husband, who's a very supportive person to my adult children, my grandkids. I have two, one is coming next year. So I'm very happy because all of these things, when I look at them together, cancer has put me in the right perspective of things that matters in this life. Well, it's good to be successful, but it's also exhausting because your last year's performance is just good for last year. It's like being a hamster in a wheel chasing success all the time. And it's exhausting. You know what's liberating? Being yourself, doing what you like, Having time for yourself and discovering, hey, today I wish to become a mermaid, and why wouldn't I? Hey, today I wish to become a strong woman, and my husband comes home and I see you rearrange all the furnitures now again. Why not? Yeah, why not? You see? So late last year, I even took a professional makeup course, and my friends say, "Why did you do that?" Well, self-confidence a lot brings, when you look good, you feel good, you wear the clothes you want to wear, you express yourself. How I wish I was somewhere in New York and could don all the hats and the boots without, not earning. Where are you going? Are you going here in the Philippines? Sometimes when you wear boots, they say, "Are you going to a rodeo?" Hey, girl, that's not just for rodeo. You know, boots are very nice to wear with long skirts and really good look at. They elongate you. So I discovered myself, my authentic self. I saw my place how God loves me so much that there is no time for regret or insecurities or envy in other people's life. I tell them, you know how to be happy mentally? Mind your own business. Don't get involved in other people's problems. Here, when we have a Facebook, a viral issue, everybody gives their own peace of mind, but they can fix their own lives. So I said, I mind my own business. That's it. If I'm focused on one thing, it's improving myself and how I could help other people's by influencing them positively to push people to maximize them to what they can be. That's a good thing. That's a good legacy. I tell my children, you know what? Leaving a good name, a good integrity is good for you when even when I pass away, people will look up to you too. It's a good thing. So when you're in the right perspective, you know what to do. You know that these things waste time. This group of people are toxic. You know, so many things like that. And you know where to put your priorities. For me, it would be a close relationship with God, my family, bringing excellence to my work because I serve the public. I'm a public servant. I serve marginalized children who deserves quality education because they're in the public school, so they have less in life, they deserve more from us. So those things. So if you have those purpose in life, I don't think there's really a spot for you to say I feel bad at all. No, I don't. As I've said, nobody rains on my parade. You're not up to go with me? I'll go out with myself. I'll celebrate. It's not a big deal. You don't want to go? Fine with me. I'll go out and celebrate. So that's how I manage things. I tell my husband, hey, I have a full day ahead. And he's somewhere. He said, oh, what do you intend to do? I'll go watch a movie, eat in my favorite resto maybe, or do something that I want to do. Said, okay, I'm used to you. So I think that's what strong women are for, right? So with this, I would like to tell women that find yourself and be comfortable on your own skin. Nobody has to tell you that you have to look like this, right? Nobody has to tell you have to dress up like this, live like this, keep up with the Jonases. No, that's all not good. It will make you tired, envious, and regretting all the things that you don't have when you should be looking at the things that you have already. It's just right in front of you. You need to appreciate it. I remember this song that What's Forever For? I don't know if you know that song. What's Forever For? He said, I've been looking at people throwing love when good love is so hard to find. So what's the glory in living, right? So I always remember sometimes we don't fix things that are worth fixing. We just don't need to fix things. This generation is a throw it away instant, I can replace it thing. No, you can't. You can't replace time with money. There's such a thing as being too late. And one of that is our health. Late detection is a big problem. You spend more money, it's hard to overcome. I had a friend, a good friend, who had an earlier journey on breast cancer, but unfortunately, I don't know what happened, but it went back to her, metastasized, and she doesn't exercise. When I saw her, she was really big, not moving around. I said, don't you think the first journey was painful enough for us to go through this again? I don't want to go through this again. Unless God really asked me to, I don't know the purpose anymore. But as much as I can, I think I should manage my body because it's a gift from God. We manage this well too. It is one of our resources. Our life, there's only one life. If you get fired from work, the next day they're gonna look for another employee to replace you. But nobody can replace me as the mom of my kids, as the wife of my husband. So we have to take care of ourselves. And women should, right? We should stop being doormats and people pleasers and say, why don't I have that? And envious. We should look, what do I have? What do I have now? And from here next year, how can I be a better person? You've got a lot of choices there, sister, a lot of choices. So for me, this cool carnivore journey opened many things. It opened a channel for encouraging others, not just the diet, helping people stay healthy or regain health by losing their bad eating habits. That's one. Nothing exists in a vacuum. Some young people would say, oh, I can eat this because I'm just 20s. You know what? Your disease in your 50s started when you were in 20s. It didn't happen overnight. All of those years, those piling up of those inflammatory vegetable oils that you'd been putting instead of the butter and the yummy eggs and everything else, that compiled and boom, one day you'll say, why am I sick? Where did this come from? Don't wonder anymore. It started when you said to yourself, I can eat what I want. The truth of the matter is we can't. Right? There are times that, well, maybe today one avocado ice cream is good, yeah, but later on you'll have to pay for it. Yeah, I have to pay for it. When I when there's an occasion, I think last December there's an occasion when I really there's nothing else but carbs. So, you don't have a choice. My body suddenly tells me what's wrong. There's something itchy, right? I could feel that immediately. There's an itchy. I said, there's something wrong. My body's telling me I'm on the danger zone. So, okay, reset again tomorrow. Then it stops. So your body has adjusted, your gut has adjusted, everything. You don't get so hungry anymore, which is good, right? I Gone are the days when, when people had to have a 10 or 12-hour fasting for medical checkup and they would get so cranky because I'm hungry. I don't have that. Sometimes I even forget, oh, it's 2 p.m. I'm just gonna have my lunch. And you know how liberating it feels not to feel that shaking knees and dizziness. Oh, I need sugar. I need sugar in my body. I know that. I know that before. It's like you're gonna die. But now, that's not the same anymore. It's a different play. So even my husband, he minimizes carbs, and at times, many times, here it would be difficult for the Filipino male not to eat rice, thinking they would feel so weak. But my husband is even a competitive badminton player and he can go without rice. So I'll bring all the fatty food and meat and beef. Said we'll be able to deal with this without rice. And at times, people find us strange. And my friends, they accommodate me in parties like, Malu, you're coming over. So I had grilled lechon belly for you. Thank you for considering me. He said, thank you for considering me. They always consider that there should be some meat for me because I'm a carnivore. So this thing, as we're many women now, right? Or the carnivore, and I'm sure some are lifting weights. We are on the right track. So much on the right track. The last time Terminator was shown, I admired Linda Hamilton, right? She's still rocking in her age, right? Because of the years she spent for training for the first Terminator. And I always tell my husband, one day I want to have that bicep, that guns the same in the first Terminator. Yeah. He said, I want to have that. He said, go for it. I said, I'll go for it. After it's 2025, 2022, my operation 23, I could now start with really the exercise that I want. Yeah, I should. I'm kicking myself and say, hey, you should do your jump ropes now. You should do this. And I said, okay. So my journey, this carnivore journey is everything. There's the spiritual part of it. You know, the spiritual part is God gave us a lot of food choices. And if we eat what's natural food, then you get natural health. And you don't, we always say in our group, we can choose the way we age. It doesn't have to be, well, oh, I'm 50s, my knees are already, you know. No, that doesn't mean when you're 50s, your knees should be. I just saw the other day, there's this, I think, a Japanese woman who's 64 and skateboarding. I told my husband, look at her. Why can't she do that? Why can I not, you know? Said, oh, here you go again with your ideas. What do you want to do now? But what I'm just trying to say is that it's not impossible. It's not impossible. It starts with small steps. 50s doesn't mean I can't walk anymore. I can't climb that hill. I couldn't imagine myself since my children, my youngest is already 29, them 31, 33. Yeah. I have I had babies when I was just 19. So, you know, at 45 I've started I no my at 45 my students are my children are all graduated from college. So I didn't have any more problem with that. So this time I don't want to be the one that they consider like, "Oh, we can't go there. We have to climb a hill. We can't go there because mom would, you know, no, let's go there. Wherever I want to go, I want to go to. I want to go to that hiking trail you've been telling me. Of course, sometimes I just have to be careful. But the point is, I'm not going to slow you down, guys. I'm not that one. So we choose the way we age. We use God's wisdom given to us liberally. We choose our mental wellness. We choose our real food and you're on the solid right track. So, with this, thank you so much, Rose, for this channel. It's such a blessing. And wow, I really have to say a lot on my mind to all the women out there. Let's fight for it.
Is you are just a superpower. You're a beautiful, beautiful person, and I am just so blessed to have had this opportunity to have this conversation with you, and
Thank
for you to
you.
share your story. Now, you started with your cancer journey and the chemo and everything. And I'm sorry to hear that your mother passed away during the
Yeah.
whole process. And I'm sorry to hear that you had cancer. Were you like before cancer hit, like 5, 10 years ago? How were you eating, 10, 20 years ago? What led you to eventually coming down the carnivore road in the midst of cancer or in the aftermath of cancer? Even
Okay.
some childhood. What were you like as
Yeah,
a
sure.
child? Yeah.
Okay. I'm the only child. My parents are dentists, and we had good resources. So when I was a child, I had a schooling in a very big. It's a university. Then they have the elementary school. I wouldn't eat like a child, like eating those candies and everything. I would sneak to the college canteen, and they would all wonder what is that child doing here, and order all the meat I want to eat. Yes, I was like that. But you know, when you're growing up and they tell you you should be slim, you should not eat fat, you should not eat. So in high school, there's so much pressure. Like you should not eat this, you should reduce, you should just eat sandwiches. Well, that was bad, you know. So I was physically active until yes, in college. Actually, I was studying at the University of the Philippines. So before I go to the dorm to study my lessons for the following day, I would either run 3 kilometers around the campus because I want to be a mountaineer or borrow somebody else's bike or just simply walking. If I don't exert so much exercise, it would be hard for me to fall asleep. Before and after cancer. You know, well, during my radiation, I would call my husband at 10:30 p.m. and said, "Why are you still awake?"
I can't sleep because I didn't walk 6 blocks around BGC. I said, can you please give me time to sleep and tire yourself from whatever it is? So I think I have this vast pool of energy. I don't know if it's genetics or what. So I could do a lot of things. However, as I've said, it was the diet. Though I was eating meat, it was always with carbs, and the end result was not a good combination. For one, Filipinos love rice. In all occasions, we have rice, but not just rice. We have sweets made from rice, sticky rice. We have all those delicious treats that sometimes Filipinos would even eat. There's already rice, and there's pasta, and there's noodles, and all of them are carbs. It's like, wow, galore, pasta, rice, and carbs galore. So those things that you would always find whenever there's a gathering, now I would just look at it and say, oh no, this is not good for me. So I would stay off. So before I had cancer, before I was a very physically active person, but the food is the ordinary, typical carbs on the baseline. And then very few fat because it's bad. So even if there's somebody cooking with beef or meat, the fat would definitely be few, and they would say, oh, you should only have a few servings of meat. Eat more vegetables. And then now I learned that so much of some plant products have a lot of nitrites, oxalates, putting on uric acid, causing gout, especially root crops. Now I know. So that's what happened. The combination of carbs and meat will go to the end use glycation, and the effect is bad health, metabolic disorders. But there was a time in my journey, I think there was year 2004, 2005, I started playing badminton and I was working online, virtual. I was an SEO team leader and a team leader for writers also. We were writing for health websites. And there was this challenge, the fat loss challenge, which was before, and they said you should lose fat and we have this price and everything. I really joined it. I lost, but it was not healthy because I just ate refried beans for a month. Wow, really? That was crazy. But that's how disciplined I am when I want to get things done. So I just ate refried beans. And I think it was also keto because I avoided all carbs and just ate meat. Refried beans and some meat. I really lost weight. But that's not the type of weight loss you would want to have. It was more of losing fibers and water and dehydration. So I lost weight, but I continued to become very active. That's why I did CrossFit. I did a lot of things. But still, the enemy was that it's still there, the carbs. Because even before, I was in a bodybuilding website. I was looking at they have this fixed meal diet plans that still says after lifting weights, you should consume carbs to, yeah, that was the worst advice I ever read. Carbs within 30 minutes so you can fuel your performance tomorrow. It won't suffer, blah, blah, blah. So after lifting heavy weights, I would go to the nearest fast food and down a lot of spaghetti carbs. So you see, but that was the only information I had, and nobody was talking carnivore as early as the time. Nobody was, telling us what to do. So I said, okay. So I followed it. So there are times that I would lift weights, but I would also eat carbs. And you never know from among the things that you eat, which is omega 3 and omega 6, which causes body inflammation. And why should you use vegetable oil? And vegetable oil is abundant in our fast food industry. Fries and vegetable oil, wow, poison it is, right? So I was um I was not educated well because there were very few information at that time because everybody was still sticking to the food pyramid and fat. And beef and meat was demonized as bad, bad cholesterol. And now you see that one marker of good life would be good LDL, not the HDL. Don't worry about your LDLs. It's a marker of good life. So somebody got it wrong. And I've been reading a lot about that. So I said to myself, maybe it's time to change. So my route was do it through exercise. But as I've said, even if I did heavy exercise, still, I'm the one you'll see on the gym on a Friday night when everybody's hopping around and I'll be the only person at the gym. Why are you here on a Friday night? Because I want to exercise. Aren't you going on socials? No, I'm an introvert. I'll just go home and do whatever I want. So the thing is, I work so hard on the gym. In fact, one friend told me, before you had cancer, you were so keen on exercise. You did lose weight. But unlike when you switched to carnivore, I was not able to exercise yet because I was not yet that strong. Still, I lost a lot of weight. So now I see the difference. And I said, then what would happen if I'm a carnivore and I started lifting weights? Wow, maybe this time I could go to a costume party as Wonder Woman or something like that. I'm so happy. Yeah, why not? Maybe on my birthday, I will do that on December. So I would be wearing a Wonder Woman costume, right? Why not? That's my birthday again. So, the thing is, I did the right exercise. I had fuel meat. I love meat. But if I ate it with a lot of rice, then it became a big problem too. So much. So now I'm keen on what does International Diabetes Association says. Women's waistline should not exceed this 35. Measure your waist against your height and should be less than 50%. So I'm educating people and people are getting to be influence. In my school, in the office, when people log in for their biometrics, for their time in, I put the weighing scale beside the biometrics. So one would always be conscious, how much do I weigh? So my teachers would be conscious. See, because you would see, oh, after the holidays, did you gain weight? At least if people have access to evaluating themselves, then at least they would know. Because most of the time people would say, I just feel good. I'm in good health. Again, sister, health is different from fitness. You might look have with ripped abs, but there might be something wrong in your system. So two different things, health and fitness, two different things. So the other one is inside, the other one is outside. Even now, there's an abundance of a natural ways to look good with all the fillers and everything. And I just read something that the problem with is that they stay on the body and might even clog your lymphatic drainage system, the fillers, which is so bad because your lymph nodes play a lot of role in cleansing your body. But then again, people nowadays want instant. At what cost? Just to be beautiful. At what cost? Just to look strong or look healthy. But actually, inside, it's not really that well. So for me, before exercise, yes, eat meat if I had the chance, but always with a lot of rice, with a lot of soft drinks. That's the big culprit there. My doctor told me before, I asked my doctor, how come I don't have diabetes when I eat a lot of soft drinks? Maybe you have a good kidney or liver that processes things, but eventually it will catch up with you. And it did in the form of that sugar has a lot to do, I think, with my cancer. I agree with that. Because my surgeon told me, we got we got 9 of your lymph nodes, 4 out of 9 are very aggressive. So don't stay sedentary. Cancer cells love no oxygen environment if you don't move around. I said that would be impossible for me not to move around. That's an impossibility. I always move around. I always walk. But then I have to watch out what I eat. So before cancer, it was like I'm very active. But the thing is, I had the wrong diet. At that time, it was only Dr. Atkins, right, who was really on that book. I had this book, reading on his book, but still not enough substantial evidence or research to push on with the carnivore journey. Nowadays, we have a lot saying red meat is not attributed to any of the four cardiovascular diseases. I think last year I was invited to speak for our office to share on mental wellness and physical wellness. And I did share of the recent studies. And it's sad to say that it's not obesity anymore that ranks the list of malnutrition. I know, I mean, it's not being malnourished or underfed, it's obesity already. So many people have to deal with obesity because it's eating malnourished because you eat the wrong food, a lot of wrong food. So I am thankful for the doctors in our PCHL, for my group mates Tony and attorney Gilio and Doc Fee, because all of them had guided me in my journey. At least there's a doctor that I could ask, Doc, what do you think? Blah, blah, blah. And she'd say, okay, just look at the metrics. What do you see? What do you think? And they will always be guiding you because they're still the doctors. But at least these doctors are carnivore doctors. They really tell you what you should change on the long term and not just take a pill and everything will disappear. Well, for those who are obstinate, it happens, right? So before cancer, very active, wrong diet. After cancer, low carb, carnivore, then I got what I want. The being lean, wearing good clothes, good skin, comes part with the package, but it was wellness that I really sought after. And these things were a gift. Like, wow, these are the perks of being a carnivore. Yesterday I was I think eating outside and the cashier told me when she looked at my person with disability, she said, do you have what is your disability?" She couldn't figure it out. I said, well, they're nosy at times, but I don't mind. I said, it's cancer. You had cancer? And then she told me, my sister too. And it's so sad, when I talk to a lot of people that almost everyone I know has a sister, a friend, a mother who has cancer, breast cancer. I said, what's happening? So it's not genetics anymore. It's something that we take. It's something that we eat that's affecting us because it's so prevalent nowadays and even for young people. So that's why I really like the published articles on colon cancer and other digestive cancers because of the inflammatory seed oils, palm oil, canola oil, and all of those seed oils would really, and people won't believe you at first unless you explain it to them carefully. Even the fish tilapia. I think it originated from Africa, the Nile River, that brackish black fish. Its fat is more of omega 6, I think, more dangerous than the bacon. And besides, I don't like eating fish that's been fed with pellets and other things. Farm. So I choose my home is near Subic Bay, so we have a lot of good fish here caught in the deep sea. So I could enjoy the fish. They ask me, but is meat just beef? No, it's a wide range. Chicken, whatever you can hunt in your backyard. If you live somewhere, wherever you can eat, you can hunt, you can eat meat. So they say, I see that includes some seafood, yes. Although I find it hard to be full on just eating fish, right? The density is different from pork or beef. How much fish do I have to eat just to feel full? It's hard for me. Really, really hard. And now the biggest temptation is mangoes. I love mangoes. In my place where I live now, we have many mangoes this coming summer. Almost every backyard has a tree full of mangoes. That some people would really, really love that. So I said, I want to eat unripe mangoes, the green ones that are sour. My husband said, what's happening to it? I don't know, but I just maybe eat a little piece. That's all. I was really craving for it. That's strange. But Going back again. So as a child, I like to eat meat. And then later when I grew up, I had to conform to you have to be sexy, lose weight like this, but I still ate carbs. No matter I was lean when I was in my college days. Everybody is running and biking and everything. But then again, wrong food. So wrong food, good exercise equals negated. Then, after which, going to cancer, that's when my journey started to become better. Keto, finally, carnivore, and that's it. Now, I only have my slip ups when, example, I have to go to a seminar or a training. Of course, you can control what's being served by the caterer. So I asked my co-school heads, hey, can you get extra eggs for me? I will trade my muffins for you. So that's what we do. We barter. And they would before I know it, I have 7 eggs on my plate. Balu, this is for you. I got an extra egg for you. It was funny, and I love my co-school heads. They're so supportive of me. Hey, get some fat for Malu. And Malu would trade. She will get some salad and I will give, okay, here's the salad, here's the coco jelly, whatever you have. And I get what they don't want. So I'm thankful. Sometimes I have 7 eggs on my table. Said, okay, great. Now I have a good breakfast. So it's just a matter of also educating people um, in a nice way. And when they know that you're sincere, they believe in you, you know what you're talking about, people will be influenced. I was really so happy to see one who was my co-team member before in SEO. He's he's into cycling, big deal, long distance cycling. He shifted to carnivore, lost a lot of weight, and he said unprecedented focus and energy. He shared that. I said, thank God. There was even one parent who told me, thank you, ma'am, because of what your advice to me. I think out of 5 medications, 2 were reduced for her blood sugar. And people would ask, did you ask the doctor? No, I asked the principal. And it was funny. It was okay. That was funny. So I um I advise her. She did follow, but I always tell people be cautious, consult your doctor, take it slowly, transition. Your body would adjust, especially if you're diabetic. You don't want to fall into hypoglycemia, right? And collapsing and having a heart attack incident. You need to go very, very slow. So that's what I always tell people. So when people approach me and they ask me, always have the patience because what we're doing here, sister, is not just for ourselves, right? We're helping a lot of people change lives, change their habits in small ways, but we have helped them, and I'm sure they're very thankful because of what we did, that they have been influenced, and we should keep on coming with fresh updates and recent studies that will back up. And I said, I feel so happy with my international audience because it's easier here in the Philippines. It takes some time for fellow Filipinos to appreciate eating meat because we've been raised on eating carbohydrates all of the time. In our restaurants, we have only rice.
When you transitioned to carnivore, how did you first find out about it? That
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
When
how did you
I
find out about
how I
carnivore?
found out about it, Dr. Fee Atencio was in a keto group, so I was trying keto, but she did mention that she has a more restrictive diet, and that's the carnivore group. So I joined her group, and at first we were less than 2,000 and now we're 25, right? So that's where I had more confidence because now I'm with a doctor, a nurse, a nutritionist, all in the medical field and all in the carnivore. Dr. Fee had double mastectomy. She had a long, long treatment also of cancer. You should meet her. I'll endorse her to you. You should meet her. She's a very good influencer too. And her medicines for chemo were really big time. Really. She had a very tough journey and then she became keto. And the first time I saw her video was like, look at me, I'm a doctor. Look what's in my lunchbox. It's pork. And that's what oh, wow. There's somebody now who can perhaps I could relate to. And that's what I saw. And she would always say, in my lunch box, there's beef. And people would ask, why are you eating pork? Why are you eating beef? You're a cancer survivor. She's a very strong woman. And I admire her. And she's in my group. And now, we just, talk in the group chat and say, hey, there's this comment still advertising. No, you know what's dangerous nowadays? Keto treats. So many here in the Philippines, still it's a way of cheating because those treats still have sugar, still have flour. They just don't, they just say, I think one soft drink said zero sugar, or coffee, a coffee maker said there's a sachet, zero sugar. I look at the ingredients. The first ingredient, glucose. Who are we kidding here? Right? I said, to many people, read the labels. What's behind the food you're eating? It will say zero. And if you use these artificial sweeteners, you're just dealing with something that's chemically made and more dangerous than what you were avoiding. You can't do it? Then go for brown sugar. Do it rather than go for the chemically altered sweeteners that you have. And many people still, I'll go for the Coke Zero. I don't think so.
It takes a while for people to change or be
True.
committed to making changes, right? So you
Right.
heard about the carnivore lifestyle through doctor. And so did it take you long to transition, or did you kind of look at your doctor's results and just roll with it because there was evidence there?
Well, first, the credibility she has is that she's a doctor who survived a tough type of cancer. It was an easy sell for me. It was like, okay. It was like, when I had so much discipline, it's like, tomorrow I will eat meat. It was like that. The following day I was on, eggs and meat, and my husband said, what's in there? Now I'm a carnivore. It was easy for me. When I say I'm going boxing tomorrow, I follow through. When I say that I'll start eating meat tomorrow, I did. And there was no turning back. No more turning back for that. So it was easy because she's a doctor who had cancer, a terrible one, and still she thrived on this. So, and I also saw her on that carnivore page. At first, I was just silently observing, like other new members. And then later on, every day, it was so encouraging because in that Facebook group, everybody posts their breakfast, 7 eggs and beef and pork. And like, if you're not a carnivore, you would say you would die, right? You'd have a heart attack. Well, I've been doing it for almost 2 years now, and so far, so good. And not only looking at it, but I have my medical lab tests with me, especially I'm being monitored by my doctor. So that's why I could say. And that's why I'm telling you, look, for your PET CT scan to reveal that you have significant increase in bone density in the hips is not something normal, right? That's not normal. So when I saw the doctor, it was easy for me to get into carnivore. The following day, I was buying groceries, meat. My husband said, okay, so what do we have now? We just eat meat. So when you open the freezer, it's just pure meat. But it's also good because there's a practical side to it. Here in the Philippines, when we cook with the meat, we have so many ingredients. We need to use carrots, onions, garlic, everything else, a lot of veggies. But now, food preparation is simple. Get meat, fry, grill, roast, bake, whatever, finished. Right? It's very practical. So my son said, yes, ma, I think I would follow you. You know why? Because I'm so tired from work and I wouldn't whip a dish so elaborate anymore to cook.
Right.
Yeah. When you're tired after coming from work, you wouldn't want to throw a party and cook elaborate dishes. No, no, no. Sometimes when I'm so tired, I just okay, I really don't feel even like munching on anything. Just buy 3 eggs. We have here in the Philippines the balut, right? Balut is like unfertilized egg. So duck eggs, actually, boiled duck eggs. I'll eat just 3 and then go to sleep. And then tomorrow I'll just eat with a good meat breakfast for dinner. That's what I'll do. So that's that's how I got into the carnivore. So our freezer is all meat. And my husband joined me, said, okay, let's eat meat. So we're now used to eating meat. So it was an easy transition for me.
It's really good to hear that you had someone that was credible, that you could follow their lead, and you didn't have
Yeah.
to go through. Did you have any problems transitioning, like with your gut health? Like, did you experience constipation? Did you have to do electrolytes or anything like that? Or was it pretty smooth?
Actually, the first part was the transition is I had a lot of pimple breakouts because of the carbs that I've taken. My gut adjusted. So many pimple red break. I said, what's happening? The doctor said it would show up. Something out of your system will be purged out and you will have a transition. Then second was maybe I got so excited of so much fat and I had diarrhea for some time, maybe 2 or 3 days. Because I love the fat so much, right? And they said, take it slow. And then finally, until I transitioned, now I could have all the fat that I want to eat. It's easy for me. It's not hard anymore. So, yes, there was this something in your system has to come out, and it came out through my skin. So, it was pimple breakouts. My husband said, why do you have that rashes and everything? I said, I don't know. Maybe it was the sugar coming out, or I don't know. So, then finally, when I got into carnivore and got adjusted to it, that stopped. And now things are getting well. So moisturizing is not a problem, you know. I don't know if you've also noticed this, but in our group, we talk about when we shifted to carnivore, we don't have as much as body odor as before. Did you experience that?
Oh, I think for myself because I too exercise a lot, but I shower
Yeah.
immediately
Yes,
thereafter.
yes, yes.
So I don't think I'm funky, smell a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But yeah, that is interesting. I've heard that a lot, that people's
Yes.
body odor kind of disappears. Yeah,
True.
yeah, it
You like,
disappears and
of
whatnot.
course, people use deodorants and something, and we say, hey, I've been sweating everything, but not that like before, that mean when you're so sweaty. Yeah, I mentioned. And then there's one thing that made us laugh all together in the admin group chat. He said, did you notice that we could smell so much? We have a keen sense of smell. And I said, are we becoming werewolves now? And we were kidding each other. Really? He said, yes. I was sitting on the jeepney and I could really smell this woman from across. I said, what's happening to us? So I think everybody in the group chat and in the page were commenting, yes, it heightened my sense of smell.
So before we get ready to close out, is your family on board? It sounds like you have a supportive family, and your husband, you guys are really good together, and he's on board with your diet, and he does really well too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So
Same, same.
so how many times a day do you eat?
How many?
How many times a day do you typically eat? How many
Okay. So,
meals?
wait, how many meals? In breakfast, maybe some eggs and meat.
Mhm.
And then for lunch in the school, they would often serve me meat. And then a late dinner. So usually three. But if I don't get hungry, the one for my lunch, I would just take it out and bring it home for dinner. I don't get hungry often. That's the thing. You're always full, right? Especially when you have your eggs fried in butter and you had a lot of pork chop. And then it's like 3 in the afternoon and I haven't had lunch yet, but I'm not hungry. So I'll take home my lunch and eat dinner. It could be 2 meals a day. It could be 3 meals a day. It varies. It depends actually.
Ever have like an off day where you treat yourself to something, or is it all animal based that you're eating?
Off day. Okay. Off day would be, it's not really an off day. As I mentioned, if I go to a seminar and everything else served there is carbs, like, well, sometimes I just don't eat. I just take it home for me and not for me. But for my, well, sometimes my dogs or the stray dogs, I feed stray dogs. I rescue dogs. I rehome dogs. Yes. Um, I'm very close to animals, abused animals, and all of the animal welfare advocates here are my friends. So I support them a lot in their advocacy. So I make sure I have something to bring home because I would see the stray dogs in our community. They would wait for me and I would go for a feeding for them. So I said, oh, I can bring whatever I can't eat, I'll bring it home to you. So it depends. But if there's lunch on a seminar, I would just take out what I couldn't eat. So if the lunch there's chicken and there's some pork, but you don't know what sauce it's made of, there's nothing you can do about it. So I eat it. Now today, did I have an off day? Yes, I was tempted by the mango. So later, green, unripe mangoes. Oh my. And I'll be having that later. But then again, when you look at the impact, you don't eat it every day. You just eat it every two. Then when they ask me, but that's a violation. Look, it's not a mortal sin. Considering that I don't consume carbs and I just, okay, for today, maybe I'll have this green, unripe mango that's really sour. I love it, that's sour. Because if mangoes become ripe, there's a lot of sugar in mangoes, right? So much sugar in mangoes. That's why for diabetics, they're only given half a face of a mango because that's too much sugar for them. And you know what's strange? I have my new pet would be guinea pigs, right? Do you know that they have high blood sugar, that they should only be fed with fruit once a week? Yeah, and I said, well, bring it on. But they're herbivores. So I said, see, you two have to watch your sugar. So that's it. They have to watch your sugar because obesity is a problem for the guinea pigs too. Too much sugar. So once a week, I just give them a slice of orange because they can eat so much. And that reminds me, hey, you, Malu, you watch out yourself too, like your pets. So that's funny, isn't it? That's very, very funny. So yes, I have some off days when you really don't have a choice anymore when you're out. But as much as possible, if I could take meat with me for breakfast from my home, I prefer food or have other choices as much as I can, I would maximize that. I would maximize that.
What words of wisdom could you offer someone that's out there that may have had similar or your same exact experiences? What words of wisdom could you offer that person?
The words of wisdom would be first, get straight with prayer and intimacy with God because He gives liberally wisdom for us to make discernment on things in our life. Because when you're spiritually well, then you also become mentally strong because of the faith. Second, since we have wisdom and knowledge and understanding, make smart choices on the food you eat because food can be fuel or poison that could, wreck our system. And you have to choose. And you just go back to those old days when people just ate real food. The eggs, the beef, the sheep, the whatever. Nothing ultra processed, no fast food, no instant. And you'll see what was the difference. Now, when I pass by some funeral parlors on my way, I see people dying at a younger rate. Like, what? She's in her 30s, she had dialysis. What? She's in her 40s and she had aneurysm. Oh, but before, old people would die at a ripe old age, right? 90s. And not have, and they smoke a lot, some of them, right? They even smoke a lot. That's strange, right? But now, it's not the way it is. So, get straight with God, um, find purpose in your life, find the reason. Who are you fighting for? What is your purpose? What's the meaning? Your family, the people who love and care for you. Find positivity, no time for regrets. Every experience has a lesson. We called it offsetting the bad things because good ones still come out from the bad. My cancer has taught me that good things come out from the bad. There's a purpose. And choose your meals wisely. So we will be strong and age not weak, but gracefully. So I think those words.
Well, you've got me uplifted, girlfriend. You've got me uplifted. And I do want to ask, is there any way that people can get in touch with you? I know that I went and friended you on Facebook and then messaged you from there, but do you have a YouTube channel coming in the future or
Of
Instagram or
course.
Facebook or anything like that that you want people to reach out to you on?
Okay, as of now, I have my Facebook. I think I also have my Instagram. But, give me tonight to finally launch the YouTube channel. Please, sister, help, help, help. So I would really like to say a lot of things that would encourage people, help them get on the right track if they felt down, if they felt that they're alone and this is a hard road when you're sick, you're not alone. We are here to help. We are here to support, to give you the push you need to make changes in your life. So, yes, I'll be putting that YouTube channel. I think there are now
Okay.
10 people pressuring me to put that
Yeah.
out.
So then
I will, I will.
that means that I can add it in the show notes. You'll get me that to add in the show notes then, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
All right, Malu, I want to say thank you so much for joining me in this conversation on the Carnivore Connection and sharing your wonderful, heartfelt, and transformative story and being an encouragement and a light to others. So thank you once again.